Luckiest move ever. My name is Tony Pajunin, and the story I wanted to tell you today is about my move from New York to Florida. And so I really wanted to move because I grew up in Florida and I really missed the warmer weather, but also I wanted office space, right? I wanted to be able to make videos and not have a kitchen in my background where actually I could have a space where there was no distractions. And in New York that would be quite cost prohibitive. So and I also wanted to be closer to family. My mom lives in Florida, and so I really just wanted to move. And the problem was that everybody and their brother wants to move down to Florida right now. And so we had stories from realtors about houses selling for like 100K above asking price and bidding wars and all sorts of problems. And so I was just like, well, let's just not get bogged down by the potentials of what could go wrong. And let's just try to solve the problem, right? And on top of everything else, my lease in New York ended in June of this year. So, I would have to break the lease. But like I said, I set an intention on finding a place. And I went down in November of last year to look. And I took about a week to do that. And luckily, my mom is also a realtor, among all the other things she does, with helping. We build a business together, but also she's a realtor as well. And so that really was helpful. And so I had that at least in my corner. And the other thing is that we knew that we had to find something then and there. We really couldn't go in November and say, oh, yeah, I'm planning on getting this in June, so just hold it for me, because that's not how that market works, right? I mean, it was like one day and things were gone. So, we looked, and a lot of the places, the first house that I looked at, actually, that we looked at, it was really small and really expensive. And I was just like, wow. And it was also in this weird area where there's all these dilapidated houses next door. And I was just like, the house was new, but it was just not in a great area in terms of the neighbors, all of this dilapidation. And so I was like, wow, this is what I'm getting into. Um, and, but we, we came across one place, and it was a really interesting story because we were looking at another place at the time, and my mom calls the guy, and she was like, well, can you can we look at the place? And he's like, okay, but get here by noon. And we were sitting in the parking lot waiting for this other place, and so we were like, well, can we do 12:30? And he's like, no, the guy's leaving, so if you're not going to be there by noon, then we'll just do it some other time. And so my mom and I were like, all right, we're going to go look for this place. So luckily the person saw us early for this other place we were waiting for. And then we drove as fast as we could. We were 3 minutes past noon. The guy was already in his car waiting to leave. And so he showed us the place, and it was really nice. And the guy even made a comment. He's like, man, I'm even thinking about getting this place. The realtor. So I was like, oh my gosh, we really need to do something about this. So the best part was that it was a Friday at noon, and we were his last showing until Monday. So the whole weekend in this market, he wasn't showing it. So he was not the most motivated realtor, I would say, in the world, but that really worked out for us. So we saw it, and on Saturday we placed an offer, and they accepted, and there was no bidding war. There was nothing that we had to go above asking. We actually got asking, which in this market, it was amazing. And we signed the contract, and then I was able to cancel the break the lease on the apartment, and everything went well. And then we closed at the end of 2021. And the one of the greatest things is that the moving company that we got to move all my stuff from New York to Florida was actually very honest and very good. Uh, and their name was Perfect Moving, by the way, just FYI. But they did a very, very good job. And so I later on learned that that could be an issue. Sometimes moving companies are not very honest, but they had a good price and they moved everything well and everything was really good. So basically, luck is a sign, in my opinion, from the universe that things really are in alignment in your life. And what I mean by that is that to notice luck, you have to have a mindset to notice luck. Because sometimes things can happen in your life that can be very, very lucky. To find that place, all that stuff, you know, it was extremely lucky. But to really notice that, to really appreciate it, we had to be in a mindset to notice that. Otherwise, we could have just noticed all the problems that, that could be, Honestly, I can't even think of them because I'm spending so much time thinking about all the things that went right. But I could have easily spent all that time finding things that went wrong and focusing on that and thinking to myself that it was a terrible experience and wow, what a horrible move and, all this stuff. But really, I think that if your mindset is in the right place and you kind of look at things optimistically, then luck is kind of a manifestation of that. Suddenly you're going to notice luck. Wow, that was lucky. That was lucky. Where other people might not notice it. The same thing could happen to other people, but they might miss how lucky it was. I mean, a pretty obvious example is how lucky we are all to live on this planet with the exact right amount of water, the exact right amount of sunlight, in the right place, the right temperature, all of that, right? It's just luck. But how often do we really think about how lucky we are just to be alive on this planet? So basically, I moved from New York to Florida, and in this market, that was a crazy move. And finally, we got a place. We were very lucky to find something. Luckily, my mom's a realtor, so she helped me with that. And we were able to close. And, luckily, I had support from my mom in that entire process. And now I have this beautiful office space where I can make these videos. And it's just, I was very, very lucky throughout that entire experience. And I think that because I set myself up to have a optimistic outlook that things were going to go well, I set an intention that we were going to find a place and I was going to be able to move easily. That really helped me notice all the lucky things that went on during the move that happened that really were fortunate and that worked out really well. So I want to ask you, when was a time that you felt lucky? And did you notice that when you were feeling lucky that you were also in a good space mentally and that helped you notice that luck? Whereas if you weren't in such a good space, maybe you would have missed it. I'm really curious to know in the comments. Just let me know if you've ever felt that, like that your luck, you noticed your luck because you were in the space to notice it, because you were in the right mindset to notice it. All right. Well, that is it for today. I really appreciate you listening to that story. It was quite an experience. I'm glad I had it, and I'll talk to you next time.